Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines 2 and welcome back to Columbia County. Today's episode is a bit of a departure from what we've been doing recently. We're moving out of LeBryan, we're going back to Blackwater, and we're going to be working on putting together a dedicated office park, retail park district. We'll call it a district, and it's going to include a whole bunch of office buildings that I'm putting down by hand. It's going to include warehouses that I'm attaching to those office buildings, and it's also going to include a little bit of commercial zoning alongside this signature commercial supermarket. But what's really special about all of this is what lies in the middle of this new district. This building might be familiar to those of you that have been following my adventures in Software Inc., and if not, then welcome to the Nerdresoft headquarters in City Skylines 2. Now, this is usually the part of this intro where I tell you to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and become a channel member if you feel like it, but since I've just done that super quickly this time, let's get to it. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that we're making money and Columbia County is now richer than perhaps it has ever been, and the bad news is that unfortunately, we still have a lot of problems with empty residential lots, especially in LeBryan. As you can see, a lot of it just isn't highlighted, which means there's nobody living there. Now, in fairness, it's not all bad. We do have more households in LeBryan than we've ever had. We have more residents in LeBryan than we ever had, and the breakdown is not all that bad. We have more employees in here as well, and the average wealth is wealthy. So it's getting there. It's just going to take some time because the population needs to be encouraged to move in a little bit. And so that's the reason that I want to come up to this space just on the opposite side of the river to Blackwater, right next to our industrial area. I don't know if it's going to solve any problems, but I kind of want to try and build a little bit of a commercial district, and more so than commercial, maybe an office district. I kind of want to put some decent, maybe tech companies in here, some manufacturers in here, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's necessarily going to solve any of my problems, but I do know that we have commercial demand and I do know that we have office demand. So I figure this will be a really good opportunity to have some crossover between this series and my Software Inc. series. And somewhere along the way, I want to put my Software Inc. company, Nerdresoft, into Blackwater and into Columbia County. So that's kind of where this idea came from. I saw someone in the comments of a Software Inc. episode suggest building Nerdresoft headquarters in City Skylines. And I'm not kidding when I say I read that and immediately booted up this save. I was just, my brain was like, my God, that's beautiful and brilliant, and I want to do that. So that's kind of where this idea came from. I'm not gonna lie, I usually go into these episodes, I've said before, I don't do a lot of planning, but I usually go into them with, you know, a little bit of an idea of what something might look like, or kind of an idea of how I might do something. I have no idea on this one. I just know that I've been wanting to fill in this space for ages, and I knew it wasn't going to be a huge amount of industry, so this seems like a good way to do it. This seems like the best way to do it, so that is what we're going to do. Now, to get started, I think I want to do a little bit of a waterfront, and I think we can mirror what we have going on the other side of the river. So we'll get started by basically lining things up. I'm going to say right about here, and we're going to go straight down to maybe just turn off my guidelines a little bit. We'll go to about there, and I can just simply use good old Move It's marquee tool to grab all of this and level it to about that height. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and connect these roads together right now, because this is probably the easiest way to get traffic coming down here. So we want that 180 degrees on the left, and we want to some way, somehow make sure that this is going to connect perfectly over here as well. It's not the neatest of curves though. It's 153 meters on the left side. It's 99 on the right. So maybe it would be better to cut a little bit more of this out and see if that's going to give us a bit more of an even curve. It doesn't have to be even. I would just kind of like it to be, because I think it's going to look a little bit better. So we'll try our best to get this to line up, which is about there. And I need that 180 degrees in the left, which we have. So 152 and 156. That is much, much better. And that does look pretty good, actually. I like that a lot. Now, what I will do is go through, as I usually do, and get some key walls on pretty much all of this. I think is fair game. And I think we'll smooth this out a little bit so the land isn't quite going into this little inlet that we have here. And you know, I think that looks pretty good. Now, what I would like to do is kind of mirror this little boulevard thing that we have going on over on this side. And I think that's maybe what I'm going to try and put the Nerdresoft buildings on. So it's kind of its own, almost like a campus thing. And just so we're clear, if you do happen to watch this series and the Software Inc. series, at the time of recording this, I haven't actually started building any kind of Nerdresoft headquarters in Software Inc. So this is not based on it, and when I do get around to building it, it's probably it's unlikely to look like what I'm going to be doing here. Just so we're clear, this layout is, I'm improvising is what I'm doing. I'm definitely just improvising a little bit. So let's do a one-way road going in, a one-way road going out, and we will go ahead and extend this a little bit. We'll go for 112. We'll go to here, and we'll go to here. And I think that's about all the space it's realistically going to need. It really doesn't need to be anything too crazy or anything too fancy, as we very well know around here. And I think what I'll also do is go 56 meters here. We will go up a little bit this way. We'll come over, down, and over. And so this way, we are going to have the headquarters building probably on Mulberry Street, and then we can have some auxiliary buildings on Green Street and Moore Street. And that seems fine. I like that. I can decorate the space in between them. I can have some fun with that. And I guess, need to find a building that's going to serve as the Nerdresoft headquarters. Okay, so a very slight change of plans later, and this is what we have. You might be wondering why I've done this. This is the Nerdresoft logo. No, I'm not kidding. It's a diamond with these 4 colors, and this is about as close as I could get to making that happen. Now, there is a part of me that's really tempted to adjust this and push the buildings together just a little bit, because I do think it might look better if they're actually touching. But before we do that, well, I say before we do that, I think if I move them after I do what I'm thinking of doing, it might cause some problems because it might bring back a bunch of the props. What I'm thinking of doing is going in and deleting all of the signs that brand this anything other than Nerdresoft, but I think it actually would probably make sense for me to go through here and just very, very carefully slide the buildings together. So I'm going to try my best to make that happen. I think that is about as good as things are going to be. We'll bring you back ever so slightly. And does that look okay is my question. It is about as good as it's going to be. Over on this side, we want to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to slide this over until what I'm looking for is this little connection for the windows to be about perfect, because then I know that I have this exactly how I want to have it, which I think is roughly there. And I think that's all right. And then this guy just needs to sort of slide down into its own place as well. So you're going to come down to about there to start with, and we'll bring you over as best I possibly can. Again, the windows sort of just connect together as best they possibly can. And over on this side, I think I've got it about right. That's not bad. Okay. So to be clear, the Nerdresoft logo itself does actually have those gaps between it, but for buildings, I think it makes more sense to not have those gaps in there, so I'm not going to do that. And what I am going to do is level it all to that height right there, and hopefully, well, we don't really have any Z fighting, we just have some weird colors and sort of things mixing together in there, and I'm honestly okay with that. I don't really mind that. What I would like to do is just go in and get rid of all of these fences because they are a little bit unnecessary, and I'm going to have to adjust some surfaces here as well, which I'm totally fine with doing. Okay, so I don't want to go too crazy with surfaces and details and all that stuff just yet because I want to make sure that this is actually going to work. And I'm also thinking I kind of want to take out just these trash cans here from the front of the building, and I'm going to do the same over here Oh, I realize I have just gotten rid of all of the trash cans around that building. That might be a bit of a problem. I don't want to get rid of all from the same category. I just want to get rid of these guys and maybe those guys as well. We'll keep these ones at the front of the building because I think that's probably a good idea, which means we are missing some from the orange building, but honestly, that's probably okay. I don't really mind too much if they're a little bit different, but this, I think, is kind of the look that I'm going for. I like the pillars. I like the colors. I really like what we have going on. I would like to make sure that the space is at least somewhat functional from kind of an entertainment point of view as well. So I do want to put things like these tiny parks in here. I think they will help a lot to make this place look and function a little bit better. I think those are in about the same spot as well, which is good. We could do these canopy covered parks as well. I don't know that we necessarily need them, and I don't necessarily want to block the view in here. So I'll do something like this and this. We can kind of have those as like little areas that you can sit and eat your lunch or something like that. And then across the middle, I don't know, we do have stuff like this. We do have stuff like the wide pocket park, which unfortunately doesn't fit too much. And we have this guy, which doesn't really fit in here either. So maybe we're good. Maybe this, or maybe that could go sort of down the middle here. That might be a better shout. I think for now, this will be fine. And I can just figure out how to, I suppose, connect this all together. So what I'd like to do is swap out that tile surface. And I think I'm going to swap out this one and this one as well. And then figure out how they're going to connect together, which, looking at it, might not be too difficult to do, because this might be able to just go straight up to basically that corner, which is not bad. This one can go to that corner. And if I just bring this over until I get a 45-degree angle on the right, which it actually doesn't look like it's going to be, but that's not so bad. I don't think that's what I'm necessarily going to go for, but from a concept point of view, it kind of works, which is better than it not working at all. Oh, I totally messed that up. Let's rebuild you. And I think using these pedestrian paths is probably going to be the easiest way to make this look the way I want it to look. So I want to go in and get rid of this surface specifically because I don't really know what's going on there. I think I just got rid of the wrong thing. I'm pretty sure I just got rid of the wrong thing. I absolutely did get rid of the wrong thing. So you know what? We'll bulldoze you as well. And we'll just put another one of those in there. One of these days, man, I will figure out how this game works. I will learn the controls for City Skylines. I'm also going to put this in here because I think having some trees in that space might actually be the right call. We can also get rid of this surface. Again, I'll figure out how City Skylines 2 works. One day we'll get there. And now, take out that surface. We will take out that surface as well. And this one is going to be expanded to fill up the space between these pedestrian paths, because I think that's going to be the easiest way to make this happen. So up to about there, and I need to follow this corner, which is going to be the biggest challenge of this entire thing. Or I could just go for a sharp corner on it, but I almost want to say that following the curvature of that corner might be the best thing to do. So if I turn off angle snapping, I'm kind of hoping I can get something that kind of goes around that path. It really doesn't look like it wants to though, does it? Which is really unfortunate. So I guess we'll just do the sharp corner. I'm okay with that. We'll do the sharp corner. And then I guess the rest of the space can just be a regular grass surface just to cover up the default grass that we have in here. So it can go all the way around like this. And that looks okay. I like that this sort of flows into the tiles on the other side. Obviously the right side here, oh, there's an autosave. Obviously the right side doesn't quite do that because the buildings have different layouts. That's totally fine. I'm not super worried about it. I would like to make sure people can walk through here though. So what I'll do is turn off all of my guidelines, and I'm just going to do an invisible pedestrian path that goes from here to about there. We'll do the same thing on the other side from here to about there. And we'll do the same just over here as well. We'll go out to that section of path, and we'll go out to that section of path as well. I'm not really against the idea of having these guys kind of overlap a little bit. So we'll connect them here, and we'll connect them about here. And I guess we'll connect from here to there and from here to about there. I'll also put some details in those spaces eventually, but for the most part, that's totally fine. I don't want to block up this space too much because I do want it to be the case that you drive up this road and you get a pretty clear view of the buildings. I like the colors that you can see there. Obviously, you don't see the lighter blue, but that's okay. That is by no means the end of the world. So I think when it comes to the rest of this space, I want to fill it in with more office buildings, but I want to be kind of specific with where they go. So we're going to start with this guy down here, and I'm thinking we might go for this building next to it, which is a clone of the Nerdresoft buildings. Maybe we avoid this building completely. Maybe that would make more sense, is we don't put a clone of the Nerdresoft building in here, and maybe this entire little kind of boulevard is our office district. Maybe that would make a bit more sense, so that it's kind of like, hey, this is all separated from everything else that's going on. This is your office district for good old Blackwater. So I think that's kind of the angle I've got, and I think that'll kind of work. I do like that the buildings are, you know, just filling up with different colors and things like that. That's pretty cool. I do like all the signs along here. I think that'll look pretty good as well. And I would like to try my best just to get buildings in here of all different shapes and sizes. I'm also wondering whether or not I want to do parking behind them. And I think in some places that's probably not a bad idea. Obviously this one has dedicated parking, but this one doesn't seem to. So might not be a bad idea to do a little bit of that. And I think what I'll do is put a building here, and we'll bring a little alleyway back here, do some parking roads at the back of these buildings, and that should be all right. We can get a few more buildings in here as well. We have this guy, which is a little bit smaller. I kind of like that. I think that'll look all right. Maybe something a little bigger would be better for that space. We do have signature buildings available, but I haven't actually unlocked them, so I'm kind of trying to avoid using those where possible. And again, trying to avoid this building is proving to be difficult, so maybe we go down to level 3 for some of these guys. And that should give us, yeah, that gives us some buildings that don't look like the Nerdresoft headquarters, which is fantastic. So this guy is pretty great looking. We have this one as well. We have this guy, which has its own parking, which I think I'm going to avoid. I think we'll do this, which I'm okay with. I might change the colors a little bit because I don't love it being sort of blue, but that's not so bad. And then maybe a little 3x6 something or other up here would be good. So we have a little bit of space between the buildings and the Nerdresoft headquarters. Or I just find like a little 4x something to go on that corner. I wouldn't be against this, to be totally honest. Yes, it has its own parking, but it's got beautiful amounts of detail around it. It's a really cool looking building, so I'm all right with that. And over on this side, I don't really know what we go for at all. I'm not going to lie. We could go for this guy again, but I really don't want to duplicate the same building. Really don't want to use that one either. So maybe, ooh, that's a duplicate of an existing building as well. This is where it's starting to get tricky. Oh, we can go for this building because it lines up perfectly with that pedestrian street. So that's how people get in. It kind of looks like it belongs on a corner, which I love. And that keeps space here for a little alleyway to come through so that I can do some parking. That is absolutely perfect. That is what I'm looking for right there. So let me turn on my grid snapping. In fact, turn on all of my snapping options except for guidelines. And we're going to bring this guy through. I'm not really too sure where parking is going to go here. I'm not really too sure what it's going to look like, but we're going to figure it out. So we're going to go to, I want to say about, let's see, turn off grid snapping as well. Go to here. That's another curve. It's not what I'm looking for. I want to come straight out of here. And I guess parking in this space can be something relatively simple. I could probably use the parking alleyways. That might make a little bit more sense since we're using alleyways to come back here. And I think this can just go up to, I guess here is about where it can go. That's totally fine by me. We can do some decorations around it. And then this alleyway can maybe punch straight through there as well. And that just gives us some parking. It's not a lot of parking, but it's parking nonetheless. And I think that's kind of what the space is going to need. So I'm okay with that. And maybe, again, if I wanted to be a little cheeky, I could probably come through this space as well and do a little parking that goes down to that road. Although I kind of don't want it to go down to that road, and I kind of don't want it to snap to that road. So I think as a part of this development, I do want to get some warehouses in here, and that is going to mean using more Find It to make that happen, because I want certain warehouses and I want them to look a certain way. And so I think what I'll do is bring this road straight out here, and I'm going to once again use Move It just to grab everything involved with that road and make sure it's nice and level, because obviously that's kind of important. And then on this road, I suppose we could go in and say that there is going to be maybe another office building or two. I really like this one, actually. I think that's a pretty great looking office building. So I'll go ahead and put that guy right about there. I know we've used it over here a couple of times, but I think that's a good looking office building and we can work with that. And then around the back of it, I want to bring a little alleyway just like this. And then I'd like to go into industry and I would like to search for warehouse because we can get little warehouses. We can get big warehouses too, but I'd like to go for something like this because I like to imagine this is where stuff gets stored for a lot of these guys. I think that kind of makes sense. We can get a little 4x5 in here as well if we wanted to, which wouldn't look too bad. It would actually be kind of cool to have that back here. And that's actually got me thinking that it might be a better idea to extend this road down a little bit. That might be a little bit too far actually. So we want to make sure we have the right amount of space. So bring this road right out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a road right here would mean that that little warehouse could go here and sort of have its back right against this office building, which I'm not really against doing. I also think given that this is a dedicated space, we can go in and take out things like these fences because I don't really think we need them. And I kind of feel like going in and moving this building so it's, you know, right against this office building would kind of make sense. So if we grab you and sort of slide it right over a little something like this, and then maybe just a little bit that way so it's kind of in line like that, that doesn't look too bad to me. That to me looks like it is now an extension of that office building, and that's kind of what I'm going for. And we could go one further and maybe change the colors of this building. I mean, it's a very red and kind of blue looking company. So maybe this building is going to be, I don't know, a bit of a blue color for the building itself. I don't know if that's necessarily the color I want to go for, but we'll say kind of a light bluish color is totally fine. We'll make the roof a little bit darker. And this little accent here, I'm assuming, yeah, it's those guys. You know what? We'll go for a bright red. It kind of matches the theme of the logo on the building. It looks a little bit hideous, but the point that I'm going for is that I can then go to this guy and sort of try to make it match. The shading on the buildings behaves a little bit differently, but for the most part, I think we could probably, with a little bit of trial and error, just make these guys look like they're supposed to be one building, which is kind of what's going on there. And you know, from a distance, it sort of does look like that's what's going on. I don't know if it does. I don't know if this is the best idea, but I mean, this has no company in it right now, which isn't good. This does have a company, so that's probably fine. I think that's kind of what I'm going to try and do here. I'd also like to go in and just move this little alleyway so it is going to be a little bit closer to everything that I have going on here. So I'm just going to move it down to, I don't know, I'm going to say, we'll say about there for now. We'll move it a little bit closer. Right about there seems fine by me. And that looks all right. We do have some surfaces sticking out there though, so maybe it shouldn't quite be that close. Maybe about there is good enough. And I don't mind that. I think that's kind of what I want to go for a lot of this space, is try and make something that looks like we have little companies going on. Like there's a lot going on here, right? That's the general idea, is that this is the warehouse for that IT company or that manufacturing company or whatever it might be. And it kind of works. It kind of tells that story. All right, so as this is coming together, I'm thinking I want to cheat just a little bit by building outside of my current map tiles. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to take this road right here and I want to extend it all the way out to, we'll say about here. And I'm going to build a bridge that goes over to this farm, which means I need to take out some of that space. And I want to bring it around down through this space, up around here, and I want to connect it to the regional road because I would imagine, number one, it's going to be a useful connection for, I almost said Nerdresoft, for Blackwater and Columbia County to have, but also because I kind of just want to, is the honest answer there. So we're going to do our best to make this make sense, and I'm going to do my best to make it not look terrible. So we'll bring the steps down a little bit here. We'll go for a 7.5 meter bridge for the time being. And I'm going to just go from basically here to about there. Should be totally fine. I think that looks okay. It gives us a pillar right in the middle, which I am all right with. And then I'd like to connect from this guy. I want my curves and I want my guidelines. And basically we're going to come straight out as best we possibly can. That seems to be 180 meters. We are going to go up to this guy. And I'll keep that as a bridge the entire way because I think it's just a little bit easier. That looks pretty good to me. I like that a lot. I don't know what the distance was on it, but I like it a lot. And we'll bring this down. We'll try and go for a nice gradual sort of slope. We'll go for something kind of like, we'll go for about 4%. That should be totally fine right to about there. Now that is making me think that it might not be a terrible idea to just go in there and replace it with something that is going to have some key walls instead, at least for this. Ooh, that is not what I wanted at all. At least for that part would have been what I was going to say when I, you know, if I hadn't sort of messed it up there, but that's all right. I can totally not fix it. So we'll just bulldoze you and we'll just replace that a little bit. That is going to go to about there and that should be fine. I think the key wall kind of makes sense on that part. And I think the key wall would probably make sense on this part as well. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. We could probably swap out that entire section to have key walls. And actually, I don't mind that. So you know what? We're just going to redo this entire section. So it's all one nice gradual slope going down. What was it? About 4% is what I said. So 3.9. That looks pretty good. I like that a lot. So now I need to connect it to the region. And to make that happen, I'm going to just move some surfaces around just a little bit. We're going to be reclaiming some parts of this farm. That looks all right to me. We can go ahead and bring this right back to about there. And that seems all right. I think I can work with that. And there we go. We have ourselves a new regional connection, which I assume is probably going to give me some traffic problems, but I'm prepared to deal with that. I'm by no means done with this space either. I'm kind of thinking what else I can do to it to make it look a little bit better. Obviously, there's a lot of detailing that needs to go in here. We're going to do trees, we're going to do surfaces, we're going to do all that good stuff. We're going to make it more walkable as well. But I'm trying to get the bones, the foundations in here to make this place look a certain way. And I think we're getting there. We are going to have some issues with employees here and there and from time to time, but we're slowly getting there and I'm kind of okay with that. I'm hoping that with some commuter lines, you know, buses coming out here, for example, we can make this place a little bit better, but that's very much going to be a time will tell sort of thing. I'm also thinking that with this new road out here, I can absolutely bring this road out a little bit. And I think I'll go to, I want to say to about here. And I think I'm just going to bring this straight down. So that's sort of going to be the edge of this little office district space thing that we have going on. And I think just for the hell of it, let me do some key walls across here as well, just so we have that wall going the entire way down there, which I think makes the most sense. Now, when it comes to this space back here, I did mention the idea of doing some commercial out here. I don't think it's going to go within these roads. And I think just to make it a little bit easier for me to play around here, I'm going to go ahead and buy that tile, which we can absolutely afford to do. And it gives me a bit more room to play with. And we're having some traffic problems over here, which I don't think is related to this space, but it could be. And I guess speaking of this space, do we have any traffic coming through here right now? I'd be very surprised if we had a lot coming through, but I'm definitely expecting some to make its way along here eventually. I guess just not right now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. There's the first couple of vehicles, or the first vehicle heading through there. That's good though. It's another regional connection for Blackwater, and that's probably a good thing. So let's go ahead very quickly and fill up this space. I have basically been going through here, and I'm just using a bunch of office buildings. I'm placing them all manually just to try my best at filling up this space. So we have a perfect little 4x3 building that can go here. It is actually just this building. It's just, you know, smaller lot and all that, but it fills up the space nicely. It kind of matches its neighbor, and I'm okay with that. And then basically the rest of this space, I want to do stuff like this. I want to get 4x6s, 5x5s. I don't want to use this one. Well, you know what? This is far enough away from the Nerdresoft building that I think I will use it just because it does fill up the space so nicely. And then we'll do a 5x6 right there to fill up that space. And that just, I mean, it gives us a little bit of a waterfront, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't look quite as decorative as what's across the water, but it also isn't just a bunch of awful looking industry, which I think is a beautiful thing. So we'll go around and just start to fill in the rest of this. I don't want to use the same building here. I don't know that I want to use that same building again either, although it might look okay on that corner. And you know what? I think it does look okay on that corner. Okay, so something that might be a little controversial and that might not look amazing that I want to do is go in here with some small parking buildings, because I happen to notice that they fit really, really well into these spaces, like here. So I kind of just want to do this, and I kind of want to do this. I know it's not the most visually appealing, but I like the way it sort of frames the Nerdresoft headquarters in here. I just like it. So I'm kind of just going to do it. I'm also thinking I might just change some of the colors here and there because I can. I don't know what all of this is necessary. Ooh. Oh, I like that. Yes. We'll go for something a little bit darker. The building itself can be a little bit lighter. We'll copy that over to the other one just because we can. And then what I'm thinking I'm going to do is copy the orange from here and put it there. So that little bit kind of has that orange color. And then we'll copy the purple from this side and put it there. So we're kind of extending those colors from the headquarters into these spaces. I would also love to do that same thing with some of these parasols, which I think I can do if I place them myself. I think, yeah. Oh, do I want to go to that extent though? Do I want to go and do that? I kind of do. I'm not going to lie. It might look really good to go in there and do that. So unfortunately, I think, oh man, this is gonna be a lot of work, but I think it's gonna be worth it. So I wanted to get the this parasol, and I guess what we'll do is put one. We'll do one like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but we're gonna do one in this space a little bit. So we'll go for like there. We'll go for here. We're going to go for, I want to say here, and we're going to go for about there. And there's no point in doing the colors yet because I need to do this side as well. So same story. We'll go 1, we'll go 2. I don't want them necessarily identical. So we'll go for 3, and we'll go for 4. So now what I need to do is figure out what way the colors are going to go. And I guess we'll start with the orange, and we'll say that the orange is going in the bottom left of each of these. So a little bit like that. We want to grab the blue, and we'll do the blue so it rotates around. We'll do the blue right here, just like this. We'll grab the purple as well, which is going to be the next one right about there. And then the dark blue is going to go right down there. That is so unnecessary. But it just feels so on brand. If you've seen me play Software Inc. and you've seen me play it in the past with the Nerdresoft company, this is so on brand for Nerdresoft. So yeah, that was 100% worth doing. I'm really glad I did that. I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of this space, by the way, but I love that. That's really fun. And while we're on the topic of detailing, I want to bring some kind of fence around this entire facility. And I was thinking I was going to put it on this path, but looking at it, I can't snap the fence to the path, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to do it this way. We're going to bring the space just down a little bit that Nerdresoft has, and that's okay. I don't really mind doing that. So what we'll do is, where possible, I suppose, we're going to try to get this to look a certain way. So I'm going to start from here again, and I'm going to go as far up here as I possibly can, which is about there. And we're just going to go around, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to be able to do curves on any of this, but I suppose there's no harm in trying to do curves on some of this. I think the fences, I'm pretty sure they don't curve, do they? Oh, they do. Oh, well, that makes my life a little bit easier, and it makes it a bit, a bit more likely that this might look the way I want it to, which is absolutely fantastic. So we'll bring this down to the road here. I think they all match, which is totally fine. And then you are going to curve to there. This side is going to need to be brought forward just a little bit. So we'll turn off grid snapping and go to about there and to about there, and then get ourselves another beautiful little curve like this. Same thing over on this side. We want to bring this guy forward to about that spot, and we'll just go ahead and curve like this. And then right down here, exactly the same thing, curving around a little something, something like that. And I like that a lot. I do like the idea that there would be a fence. I don't necessarily think I should have went with that fence. In hindsight, just looking at it, it's a little miserable looking, and yeah, but we've done it now. We've done it now, so it's what we're going for. Although I'm also thinking that I might be a little cheeky and swap out that entire sort of outer perimeter for some alleyways, and maybe just put some parking on it, because there's really nothing else that I have to do with that space. There's really there's really nothing to do with it, so I might as well do parking, essentially, make it, a little bit useful or something. I don't know. We've got all these wide parking lots. We've got these moderate parking lots. That honestly wouldn't look too, ooh, that actually kind of works in there, doesn't it? It kind of connects to this road really nicely. I could also just use move it to sort of, shuffle it, say that way a little bit, so that it's not got its road markings overlapping. I don't hate that. I really don't mind that. I don't know if I want to keep it there, but oh, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Yeah, that's not a terrible idea. I think it would probably be better to do it in sort of a space like this, though. I think that would make more sense. So that's probably what we're going to end up doing here. I really have oh, solar panels, though. Oh, solar panels would make so much more sense. And I think that is what we're going to go for. We'll have the parking around the outside. We'll have some more solar panel parking lots here in the middle. I would like to change some of those surfaces, though. I think it's going to look better if we go for the darker paving in here and in here as well. And I think on all of these guys, we'll just go for the darker paving, just because I don't know, it provides a contrast, I guess. It helps the colors pop a little bit, and that's sort of what I'm going for, I suppose. And there we go. We have ourselves an office park. It's a bit messy here and there, but I think that kind of makes it work in a weird way. And I've also decided I'm going to keep this path that goes around the Nerdresoft headquarters because it just nicely borders it a little bit. I was originally just using that to sort of mark out the space where I wanted the trees to go and to mark out sort of where these farms are going to be coming up to, but I kind of like that it's there. It just creates sort of that nicer border that you can see from really far away. Well, you would if I didn't have a low depth of field. You can see from relatively far away, and I mean, in close, you can see the fence, but that's fine. I love this. I really do. I love how this space has turned out. We do need to get some public transport out here though, and we do still need to do a little bit of commercial zoning. And I'm thinking that is actually somewhere where I might cheat a little bit. And I say that because while building all of this, we did unlock Switch On, which is a factory that makes everything that runs on electricity. It increases industrial efficiency citywide and gives us higher college graduation chances, and it's huge. It's a really cool looking building actually, and I think it would be really neat to have something like this, although it is about half the size of this entire district that I've built. And I mean, if we do build it, it can probably go out here at some point, and I'm slightly tempted to just do that right now because we do have the space for it. It is going to be $0 to build it, so maybe not the worst idea in the world to just build a giant factory right there. I don't know, man. It kind of feels like, yeah, you know what? Why not? I'm going to cheat anyway in a second, so sure, I'm going to come out here, and I wasn't planning on doing this, but to be fair, I wasn't really planning on doing most of this. Yeah, we're going to come out here and just build a giant factory because that seems like a really fun way to sort of cap this off. So we'll take out all that space for a second. We'll go into signature buildings. We'll get this guy. It's going to live right there. It looks pretty good. I mean, it looks, it looks so out of place, man. It really does. Like next to all these little office buildings, it looks so out of place. I should also just double check. How does the pollution get handled here? It is, oh, we're fine. Oh, we're totally fine. Well, I say that. There's a little bit of pollution coming over here, but we're fine. That's probably going to be all right. I would like to use the better bulldozer to take that out of there because I don't want any like smokestacks. And it's apparently, it's got a little toy sign on there. I'd like to take that away as well. So all of like the advertising is going away from the building, and I'd like to see what I can do in terms of recolors. Oh, so we can get some like accents around there. This, I'm assuming, is the roof, which is fine. And this is the rest of the roof, which I think can say, it can be maybe that color. What I would kind of like to do is maybe grab that orange and put it on there as an accent color. I don't really mind that. I'd be curious to see what the purple might look like, just out of curiosity. Maybe the light blue, just out of curiosity as well, just while we're here. I like the light blue, and I think that's what we're going to go for in this guy. And you know, just while I'm here, I want to bring this surface down this way because it's not doing that right now. I'm not really too sure why it's not doing that, because it could be doing that right now. And I think it would look a little better if it did. So we'll go and do something like this, bring you back so it's nicely in line. That kind of creates, you know, a bit more of a footprint here, and that's what I'm looking for. And I would also like to bring these London plane trees down the side of the building as well, because we do have a bunch of them baked into it, and I think getting more of them down here is, again, going to make this thing feel like it has a bit more of a footprint going on, which is what we're looking for. And then I guess it would probably be an idea to maybe go ahead and bring a road around this. It does look like it has access at the back, so I think a little road coming around here would be a great idea. So what we can do is go in, we'll take out some of these trees, and we'll get ourselves just a regular 2-lane road. It's going to go back to here, a little something like that. It's going to come all the way down to about there, and down to about there. And that seems totally fine. The grid doesn't necessarily line up perfectly, which has got me a little concerned, but there we go. That's what we're looking for right there. And I think that's fine. I really do. I would like to just change this farm surface a little bit. So what I'm thinking we do there is maybe go in a little closer to this guy. I think we'll go like this the entire way around here. And that is where the farm is going to line up. Apparently it's not all connected together though, so that's not really helping me out there. We'll bring you through, get rid of you, and yeah, we'll just bring this farm surface right up to that path. We'll bring it right down to about here if it's going to let me do that, which it looks like it's desperately trying to. We'll go a little something like this. And yeah, we'll just bring it all together. It's going to be good. It's hopefully this factory isn't going to look too stupid once I zoom out and get a proper look at all of this, but I'm thinking it's going to be okay. And you know, I think it does look okay. It's still definitely a little out of place in terms of scale, given that it's huge compared to everything else, but I think it looks all right, and I think it works in this space. And so you might be wondering how exactly I'm going to be cheating today. And the answer is pretty simple. I'm going to be using Find It to use or place another signature building, which is the marketplace. It is just a giant supermarket, and I think it would look really good in this space. So it's going to live right about there. It's pretty good looking. I like that a lot. It basically, it's a base game version of Morrissey's, which we have over here. And to get this to look the way I want it to, we're going to have to do a little bit of work. We're going to have to maybe get rid of the key walls on this guy, but that really shouldn't be too difficult to do. We'll just go ahead and get the upgrade tool and say upgrade this to be a bridge. And that looks fine. That actually fits in there so well. And that's kind of what I was looking for. Now I am thinking we will have to do some stuff with some of these surfaces that are in here. So we'll bring this farm just back a little bit. We'll bring it sort of over this way a little bit. We'll just try to make this all look relatively, well, not seamless, but we'll try and make it look a little bit better than it does. I do think we'll probably just do some forest stuff back here. And I think honestly, this entire thing is probably going to be surrounded by forests. Maybe a little bit of commercial zoning down here just because we could. But my main focus, I think, is going to be bringing these surfaces out so that we kind of have everything going right out to the roads the way they should be. We've got this one coming out to the road already, and then this one is going to go up to this path because, again, we're trying to make this look as good as it can possibly be. We'll bring this over to there, and maybe that surface should continue the whole way across. Or we just do a fence around this. It already has some fences, but maybe a little fence going out there, or that's probably unnecessary now that I think about it, because we are probably just going to do like a forest back here. So I think we'll hold off on fences, and instead I want to look at some commercial for this little space just before we put that forest in there. And you know, I'd be lying if part of me wasn't thinking that a gas station would be a really good idea here. This just seems like the type of place that should have a gas station. This pillar is ever so slightly on the lot, but I don't think that's the end of the world. And then the space next to it, I kind of just want to go for a relatively low commercial building. I'm not looking for high rises, that's for sure. I'm looking for, well, we'll just search for some low buildings here. And if I can get something that looks like it belongs in a corner, that's going to be even better. This guy, for example, kind of looks like it belongs there. I'm pretty sure in all my time using commercial buildings and placing them by hand, though, there is not a lot. There's not a lot of options that are going to look like they belong in a corner. So we'll look for something that has a lot width of 5, and that gives us this guy. That gives us, oh, that's all level 5 as well. It gives us this guy, and it gives us this guy, which is a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping for something that might have like a nice corner piece or something going on, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have that luxury, which is totally okay. That is just sometimes how things go. You know, I've just realized that these Japanese buildings might be absolutely perfect for what I'm looking to do here. So I think that's what's going to live in this space. I think I'm going to take that gas station out, and we're going to look to do another one of these guys because they kind of work really nicely together. Or I could just do a smaller gas station there, or a bigger one, or just something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I would like to get another Japanese building in here. We do have like a little 2x3 option, which would be nice. I think we'll go for the other one, so it's kind of leaning the other way, which I think is fair enough. This one's not bad either, but I think this one is pretty perfect for what I want to do. So we'll use move it. We'll grab you, rotate around, and move it over this way. And we'll try to line things up so the fronts of the buildings are as close together as they can be. This one does have parking, so that's not exactly the easiest thing to do. Maybe we just line up the parking stalls instead so that they are kind of in line. And I think that looks okay. That really doesn't look too bad. We will have some gaps between them, but that's totally fine. And I think, I do think getting a gas station in here might actually be the best way to go about this. We could also do an EU gas station just to change things up a little bit. I wouldn't really be against doing that. This one actually is pretty good. I like that a lot. It's a 4x5. We have a 4x6 available as well, which would fill up the space a little bit better. So you know what? I think we go for the 4x6. I think it fills up the space really nicely. Gives me some space to do some trees between the buildings. Gives us a little bit of commercial out here next to this guy. And yeah, I think at this stage we just go in with a bit of a forest. But first, I would kind of like to, I think, do a bit of a path around these guys. I think that would be fair enough to do here. So we'll go ahead and try my best to bring something around here and something right down to about there. I don't know if I want to put a crossing in this road or not. It might make sense to do, and I suppose it wouldn't hurt given that all of these buildings have been placed by hand, so it really shouldn't mess too much with my surfaces. I'll bring this guy out a little bit just to fix what's going on there. And you know what? This guy has grass at the back, so I can use that to fill up this space, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. So now people can walk around these guys. That is always going to be a good thing. I don't know if I want people to walk right past the supermarket. I think this is all just going to be forest. So very quickly, let's go ahead and fill in that space. And I don't know about you, but I think this looks all right. I do think I could make some effort to, you know, blend this thing in a little bit more, but it is just a giant supermarket, and it's probably fine having it here. It's nicely separated enough from Nerdresoft HQ that it doesn't look like it's part of it. And when you zoom out, it looks like it could just be another big tech company, but realistically, it's just a big supermarket. I don't want to say that it makes the most sense to have it out here, because having it closer to some residences probably wouldn't hurt, but I did want some commercial out here, and I'm not going to lie, I did slightly forget about the commercial when I was building all of this. So this is what we have now, and I like it. I really do. I like this whole thing a lot. Oh, now this is interesting. We're having a lot of problems with a lack of labor in our old industrial zone. That's surprising is what that is. I'm not really too sure what's going on there. And I think, yeah, we have a little bit of that going on down here with some of these commercial buildings in LeBryan, which, by the way, the population's gone up a little bit. It's going to take some time, but it's slowly but surely getting there, which I'm totally fine with. In the meantime, I would like to try and do something about getting some bus connections into this space. So I think what I'm going to do, because I think it might make the most sense, is just bring something straight in here and then straight back out. I don't know if I want bus connections going right to the front of the Nerdresoft HQ. So I think the easiest thing to do, well, I say not right to the front of the HQ. I think that's actually what we're about to do, which is probably fair enough and probably fine. I think what we'll do is bring some buses in. We'll have them stop on this little stretch of road here. So what I'm going to have to do is take out my, well, my grass and my trees, and then we'll go in, we'll get ourselves we'll go for a, you know what, EU bus stop shelter can live right about here. And then what I'm going to try my best to do is bring this yellow bus line in here. And I want to kind of use this as an opportunity to make this bus line a little bit better. So we'll bring it in and we'll have it go straight back out. And I think that's probably close enough to everything in here that most of these businesses will benefit from that. I also kind of think we probably don't need to loop up and around all of this industrial space, because there's so much going on here. There's so many bus stops that are through here. I kind of want to get rid of a few of these. These are so remote that I don't know that we want a city bus service coming out here. So we'll take out all of these stops because we just don't really need or want them. And what I'd like to do now is sort of limit the number of stops that we have in here as well, which might be a little controversial, but that's just sort of what I want to do. So we'll get another North American bus stop shelter. We'll put it right about here. And we're going to put a stop right about here and remove this one. And I think what I'd also like to do is remove a bunch of these ones as well. People are willing to walk pretty far in Cities Skylines 2. So I don't think we need to be quite as extensive with this bus line. I think we can afford to sort of come down in here, maybe move this stop down onto, I don't know, this road instead might be a bit of an idea. So we'll put it there and move it around. And then this stop, I think, could probably just, I want to say this stop could probably just go away. I just don't think it's necessary. So get rid of you as well. And that means the bus kind of comes down. It loops sort of into this space. I would almost like it to sort of loop back in itself. I don't know if that makes too much sense to do. I guess looping over there is totally fine. We'll take out this stop. And then coming back, I suppose it could stop up there. Or I could have it come back in here. And I think that's actually the better idea, is have it come back down to this road. And we'll just go and do that instead. It does mean that a lot of this space doesn't get serviced, but I'm trying to streamline this this bus line just a little bit. I don't know if my Sims are going to thank me for this, but I know I am, because I can actually keep track of where the bus line's going now, and that's kind of the main reason I'm doing this. So what we'll do is have it come into this space as well. So North American Bus Stop Shelter here. We'll have that line, instead of going up and around, it's going to come into here, which I think makes a bit of sense. It can go up to there, and I'm assuming it's having some problems because of how I've got this laid out. Yeah. So I think this bus stop needs to move, unfortunately. So let me bulldoze you, and we'll get rid of you, which I didn't know that could even go in there. That's interesting. All right. So this is now looping around that space, which is totally okay. I think what we can do to make this a little better then is North American Bus Stop Shelter right in front of Morrissey's. We will take out the wide sidewalk on that side, and we will just have this guy loop around there, which I think looks much better. And we'll have it sort of go back up onto this road just so it's nice and neat. And so now it goes from here, it kind of goes in, it follows this same line, it goes up to Sheffield Downs. I am hoping that that's going to be good, and I'm hoping people are going to use that line. I mean, it was already a relatively popular line, but I'm hoping they're going to use it now. And you know, while we're waiting for the results on that bus line, I want to go across a couple of my industries and make sure that everything's okay, starting with this recycling center, where I'm noticing that all of the vehicles happen to be in use. So maybe getting a few more vehicles, 10 more specifically, would be a bit of an idea. So we'll do exactly that, bringing this thing up to 25 vehicles, which I think just makes sense. It's central. It can deal with whatever it's dealing with, which is everywhere. It has, it covers all operating districts. So that seems good. That seems like a great idea. And then when it comes to the Blackwater Transit Authority, we have a bit of a bigger problem, because this thing is basically maxed out right now. I could place more bus garages or garages or whatever, but I'm very tempted to not do that. And instead we'll just establish a new transit sort of, well, new bus depot somewhere else at some point. I mean, we could just do it. Oh, we're having some real problems with the lack of labor right now. That's got me really concerned. It's poorly educated labor as well. That's kind of what we're lacking. I think we've reached a point where everyone in Columbia County is educated, and that's weirdly giving us some problems. You know what? I'm thinking we could do a new bus depot back here if I really wanted to. I could take up that space with a new bus depot, and I'm slightly tempted to do that, to be totally honest. And I think just because we need it, I'm not really going to go through the entire process of building this, because it is just going to be a case of moving some surfaces out of the way. But I think we'll get a bus depot back here. And there we go. We have ourselves a new bus depot, which, now that I'm looking at it, I probably do want to do some detailing around, but I'm just not going to do that right now. It also has no vehicles being used at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do is have a little bit of a look at my bus lines and figure out what is going on here. How did you, and you know what? Oh my God, the building's on fire. Okay. We might want to deal with that. I'm going to assume that gets dealt with nicely and quickly. I want to have a look. I want to look at my bus lines. and I want to see how busy they are. That is my current priority. And if we sort by usage, bus line 9, which is the one that goes out to LeBrian, is at 114% usage. So what we're going to want to do with bus line 9 is give it another couple of vehicles, which we can now afford to do. And I'm going to say we're going to go up to, we'll go to 6 for now, because I think that's probably fair enough. I don't really think we need to go too much higher than that. Brings it down to 65%, which is good. Bus line 4 is our revamped yellow line, which is at 87%. We'll give that 7 vehicles. Seems like a good shout right there, just to relax things a little bit on that line. And then across the board, we're at 65, 62. That's pretty solid, actually. I like that a lot. We don't have as many people using the buses as I would like. I mean, 20,000-ish really isn't much. The trams as well, I mean, I wasn't really expecting them to be super popular, so we'll kind of figure that out, but at least we got the buses upgraded. And if I'm quick, we should be able to see the new buses coming down here, which we absolutely can, which is absolutely fantastic. I also love seeing some traffic just going out to the county on this side of things. It's a really, really nice connection to have. And I'm realizing that this little crisis of workers that we're having is bringing my income down something fierce, which I'm deeply concerned about. We're on the brink of losing money after we got more money than we've ever known what to do with. So I'm going to need to figure out how to sort this lack of labor problem. And I want to say this lack of labor problem is probably tied directly to the fact that we still don't have any demand for low or medium density housing, which is tied directly to the fact that LeBrian still has a lot of houses that are not occupied. So to fix this problem, I might need to bulldoze some of those. I'm really not too sure. The population is continuing to increase. It's just very, very slow. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, the population in LeBrian is increasing. It's just very, very slow. But you know what? I don't think we're going to worry too much about how LeBrian is doing at the moment. And I'm not going to worry too much about this lack of labor at the moment, because hopefully we can figure that out in the not too distant future. Hopefully. Very big hopefully, but hopefully we can do it. At the very least, we're getting a good look at this new area, and I like it a lot, man. I really like how this has turned out. The parking areas aren't being used all that much, but this space in particular, leading up to those super vibrant, colorful Nerdresoft buildings, I love that so much. I really do. I don't remember who it was suggested building Nerdresoft HQ in City Skylines. I apologize, because this entire episode wouldn't have happened without you, but whoever it was like one person. It genuinely was one guy that I saw do it. So thank you so much for that suggestion, and any and all feedback on this episode of City Skylines, or any comment that you ever leave on the channel. I'm feeling a little bit sentimental, and I'm really appreciative of all of you sticking around. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. That's going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.